Harry has met someone who is his age, with whom he is in love, and who is in love with him.
These schools can be not for everyone, and every school is different. And yes, and he was at a particularly vulnerable time when he's going there, as into his teenage years.
Imagine finding out that you've been tricked by the woman you love the most. Imagine finding out that you're not the father of your child, not the legal father anyway, in a marriage that is crumbling.
The parties concerned like what Charles and William and the royal family stand for, and they have been appalled by Meghan and Harry's behavior.
Picture this. It's January 2025. Millions of screens light up across the globe. Millions of people stop what they're doing, expecting a standard, polished royal announcement full of carefully rehearsed diplomatic fluff. Instead, they got an execution.
The fact of the matter is, what she's hawking is not a standout. It just isn't. It's packaged in a way that it just looks overpriced and not very credible.
Yeah, and we can see the traffic to the website that tells us that the success of the site has slowed down. The interest in the brand is not as relevant as it once was.
King Charles III took the podium, looked straight into the camera lens, and delivered a speech that shattered 3 decades of royal protocol in less than 5 minutes. No sugarcoating, no warm wishes for building a life overseas, just cold, swift, surgical precision. With a few short sentences, Prince Harry was stripped of his titles. His security was yanked, his financial lifeline was cut to zero. And for the first time in modern history, a reigning monarch effectively disowned his own son on live global television.
Meghan is livid about the situation. She, though, is hanging in there because she does not intend to give up her meal ticket and jump off the gravy train. And he is very aware of the fact that there are 2 children involved and that Meghan, no matter what.
To the casual viewer, it looked like a sudden, explosive outburst from a frustrated 76-year-old monarch. But behind closed palace doors, this wasn't an emotional impulse. It was the final move in a dark, high-stakes game of survival, because what the public saw was only 10% of the story. The remaining 90%, it's buried beneath classified security briefings, unverified medical records, allegations of systematic deception, and a marriage that was secretly rotting from the inside out.
All is not well in the marriage of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now, in fairness, if you have been a viewer or a reader of Outspoken for pretty much 18 months, you've known that because I have reported on things that the mainstream media simply will not. But there's been 2 very significant developments over the weekend. I want to share them both with you. First, Alison Boshoff, who, remember, is the woman tasked specifically with covering the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle beat for the Daily Mail.
Grab your coffee and turn down the lights. Today, we are breaking down what really went on behind those velvet curtains and why the king finally decided that to save the crown, he had to destroy his own flesh and blood. To understand why a father cold shoulders his youngest son on the world stage, you have to look at the pattern. Charles didn't just wake up one morning and decide to ruin Harry's life. He spent 40 years watching the exact same self-destructive loop play out.
Your report about Lily being born in Colorado and delivered by private jet to Montecito, and how you came by the confirmation of this information. Can you tell us a bit more than you've already done? When sources linked to American officialdom are contacting you, there's got to be reasons we, the public, don't know about. There might even be reasons I don't know about. I mean, I know what I was told, and insofar as what I was told, I actually accepted at face value, because, as I say, I checked out the parties involved, and they are bona fide.
It started with the exit. When Harry and Meghan packed their bags and moved to California, the world thought they were chasing privacy. But privacy wasn't the goal. Attention was. Then came the Oprah interview. 400 minutes of unchecked, unverified allegations tossed at a dying queen and an aging Prince of Wales. Then came the tell-all memoir, Spare. 400 pages detailing intimate, private conversations, throwing his brother under the bus, mocking his father's vulnerabilities, and exposing secrets that were never his to sell.
While he was madly in love, the veil is now lifting. So let me take you inside this reporting from what she describes as the plan to reverse Megxit from the Daily Mail's Alison Boshoff, who reports the conditions of the reconciliation, this is with the king, were that there was to be no cameras in the room, no briefings, and no Instagram posts about jam or anything else. To these strictures, an apparently humbled Harry agreed in a heartbeat, and he has been as good as his word. Now, again, I totally disagree with that.
Palace insiders reveal that Charles watched this saga unfold, not just with anger, but with profound, crushing disappointment. Why? Because Charles saw a horrifying pattern. Every single time Harry made a mistake, he found someone else to pin it on. If he faltered, it was the press. If he made a bad choice, it was the institution. Harry was a prince who demanded all the privileges of power without a single drop of personal accountability. And while Harry was flying around the globe fanning the flames of his own brand, Prince William was quietly playing a completely different game.
You know, in the way they often announce marks for people who pass, and I'm told this used to happen, that if you were thick, it was sort of went for who was the thickest upwards. And sadly, it could be quite challenging and damaging for that individual back in the day. I hope that practice doesn't continue now. But what it is important is, I'm sure the Prince and Princess of Wales, they don't want any special treatment, because actually that would have a negative impact on George when he goes there. Because actually all the contemporaries will say, well, you're only in here because you didn't need to take the exam.
When Catherine was hit with her devastating cancer diagnosis, William didn't book a primetime TV slot. He didn't run to Oprah. He shut his mouth, stood next to his wife, and put his head down. He worked. He protected his family in silence. He demonstrated what actual sacrifice looks like. The contrast was brutal. On one side, you had an heir sacrificing his privacy for duty. On the other side, you had a spare sacrificing his family for a paycheck. By late 2024, the situation wasn't just embarrassing for Charles. It was dangerous. If Charles didn't draw a line in the sand, William's future reign would be permanently hijacked by Harry's endless media circus. The king had a choice: be a protective father or be a responsible king.
And he has no relevance. That's the problem. He works for Invictus Games, or he's in charge of Invictus Games. And I have to say, when he turns up, he does a good job. But what else has he got? In America, he's got nothing. I mean, if you look at what his brand in America, he's a busted flush there. He's not moving the dial on any work idea or business venture. He's not moving it. He's sort of having to live off other people's ideas. You know, that Travelist thing. I'm not sure what else he's involved with, but there may be one or two other ventures. But actually, it's a bit of a mess.
He chose the crown. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The mainstream media won't touch these stories because of legal threats, but in high-level royal circles, these are the exact allegations that pushed Charles over the edge. Allegation number 1, the children's birth records. Independent investigators and royal watchers have repeatedly raised eyebrow-raising questions about the medical paper trail surrounding Archie and Lilibet. We're talking about strange inconsistencies in hospital announcements, missing signatures from royal physicians, and whispering campaigns about the potential use of surrogate mothers without official disclosure to the Privy Council. Now, why does this matter?
I don't believe that changed when he married Meghan Markle, which made it easier for her grift to trick him and to make him think things that were not true. But now he really wishes he had read the documentation before he signed on it. What is he going to do now? Because it seems that Lilibet might not be his daughter after all, and he has a huge fight on his hands.
Under historic British constitutional law, a child must be born of the body to remain in the official line of succession. If there was even a fragment of intentional misdirection regarding how those children came into the world, it represents a breach of institutional trust that no monarch can ignore. Financial pressure is like acid. It eats away at the weakest joints of any relationship. And the moment King Charles pulled the plug, the structural integrity of Harry and Meghan's marriage gave out entirely.
I just want to point something out because a lot of people are saying that that is his legal name. We know that the royal family members have a legal name, last name. The only person who does not need to use a last name is the monarch. But other than that, everybody else has a last name. We've seen that Prince William is registered his royal foundation in the United States, and he did use the name Mountbatten Windsor. Also, we've seen here in the royal website, it says that the surname Mountbatten Windsor first appeared on an official document on November 14th, 1973, in the marriage register at Westminster Abbey for the marriage of Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips.
Insiders report that on the day of the live broadcast, Harry watched the address alone in his living room, completely shattered. Where was Meghan? Allegedly at a luxury wellness resort miles away, actively avoiding the blast zone. When Harry attempted to reach out to her in the aftermath, he was met not with comfort, but with a wall of crisis strategy. Meghan wasn't thinking about mourning a family bond, she was thinking about brand survival. They were two people drowning in the middle of the ocean, trying to pull each other up, only to weigh each other down. Harry wanted emotional validation and a unified defense. Meghan wanted an exit strategy that preserved her California elite status. Sources are now openly discussing the inevitable: divorce papers within the next 6 to 12 months. And when that legal war starts, it will make the royal fallout look like a minor misunderstanding.
I think Harry has just not had the right people around him that will protect his interests, considering where he comes from. And so absolutely, I think maybe she may have known these things. Who knows? We can't say for sure, but it makes certainly Harry dependent on her. And Harry is not going to be, I think, looked out for when it comes to Meghan and what she's trying to do, because we've seen Meghan try to advance her career just, with a lot of deceptive ways. And I don't think she would ever look out for Harry. So that would not be a good thing for him.
We are talking about high-stakes custody battles over Archie and Lilibet, public depositions, dirty laundry aired in open court, and two former partners using the media against each other to secure the moral high ground. Meghan isn't acting out of pure malice here. It's raw, calculated self-preservation. She realizes that hanging onto a disgraced, disowned former prince is toxic for her long-term brand. To rebuild, she needs to drop the royal baggage, rebrand as a fierce single mother, and pivot back to Hollywood.
The American dream is very, very much alive, but Harry and Meghan couldn't live it because they're not good at what they are attempting to do. Meghan never really made it in Hollywood before she met Harry, and the same is true after him as well. They got a little bit, but Harry and Meghan just don't seem to know what to do, don't seem to know where to go. I think this is putting immense strain on their relationship, because I'm sure the money problems and issues are compounding because they don't have the same money coming in that they did just even a couple of years ago. And so the whole situation with them is sort of falling apart, and it's due to them. They didn't produce good work, and you know what? You got a failing grade, and they're sort of failing at life too.
Indeed, and Boshoff goes on, Brittany, this dwindling star power.
Harry, on the other hand, has nowhere left to run. The tragic part of this whole saga isn't Harry, and it certainly isn't Meghan. It's the two young children caught in the crossfire of their parents' ego trip. Archie is 6, Lilibet is 4. They didn't choose to participate in a public war against the British monarchy. They didn't ask to be weaponized in interviews. Yet, they are paying the ultimate price. In a single afternoon, their titles, Prince Archie and Princess Lily, were scrubbed. Their place in history erased. Their security shield gone. Their connection to a historic legacy severed forever.
I just think Harry has made mistakes because he is not in a place where he's being looked out for. Meghan will probably, I think, doesn't make a big deal out of things because it's not of interest to her. I don't know that she would have intentionally, around this time when they had this child or these children, tricked him, but a lot of things about the birth seems very, sketchy. And Harry would have gotten lost in that situation in terms of, things that he needed to do legally for the birth of a child that was his. I know there's a lot of discrepancies around the birth certificate and, the names, the timeline, even
Everything.
the children, everything.
Think about what happens when Archie reaches school age. He will enter elite private institutions where every classmate, every parent, and every teacher knows that his grandfather, the King of England, publicly rejected his father. Children don't process geopolitical strategy or public relations wars. They process simple truths. My family rejected us. The psychological weight of growing up in an isolated California bubble, completely disconnected from their British heritage, carrying the baggage of their parents' global embarrassment, will follow them for the rest of their lives. They had everything, a life of unimaginable protection, history, and global prestige, and their parents traded it for podcasts and documentary deals that expired in 3 years.
And the end of their deals with Spotify and Netflix must surely play a part, as must Meghan's fading popularity among the supporters, like Ted Sarandos of Netflix, who had previously been her cheerleaders. The source adds, England is where Harry's heart has always lain. It is no secret that they went to the States to try and seek their fortune, to try to capitalize on his fame and his royalty to some degree. They have had successes. The $100 million Netflix deal is not nothing. But that American dream is cooling, and she feels an outcast status as well. She feels like she is trying to push fresh thoughts and projects, but it is not easy. So maybe enough water has now passed under the bridge here for some form of a return. Now, this is an extraordinary U-turn.
While Harry's world was crumbling into dust, Prince William pulled off one of the most brilliant masterclasses in modern PR history. He didn't write an article. He didn't drop a podcast episode. He didn't give an emotional interview. When asked about his father's decision, William offered just 4 cold, precise words. I support my father. That was it. No drama, no complaining, no score settling, just unyielding, stoic loyalty. By staying quiet, William highlighted the vast chasm between himself and his brother. One man operates like a future king who understands duty, discipline, and discretion. The other acts like a Hollywood celebrity who throws a tantrum whenever he doesn't get his way. The court of public opinion responded instantly. Social media platforms were flooded with trends backing the king. Memes mocking Harry's downfall went viral globally.
I don't have a problem with the king meeting Harry and Meghan and the children from a strictly family point of view. But this is the problem. There becomes this grey area. Hence the reason that it was the cloak and dagger meeting. It was a sort of almost like Cold War. It's like going back and spies meeting. I'll meet you at 3:00. Make sure you knock 3 times and leave your phones behind and then come in. It's almost like science. Harry comes in from the cold. You sort of misquoting a John le Carre novel, but you know where I'm coming from. But the point is now that I think was important, but the limits now have to be put on Harry. But this is the problem, because Harry has nothing going for him.
The public sympathy that Harry had carefully cultivated over 2 decades vanished overnight. He didn't just lose his family, he lost his audience. He became a global punchline, the prince who traded his birthright for a microphone, only to realize nobody wanted to listen anymore. So, where does Harry go from here? What happens when the dust settles, the money runs out, and the cameras turn off? Scenario analysis paints a terrifying picture for the Duke. Within 2 years, the divorce will likely be finalized. Meghan will pivot back into media, branding, and lifestyle empires, distancing herself completely from the toxic royal drama. She will write her own book, do her own interviews, and craft a narrative of survival. Harry will be left in total isolation. He cannot return to the United Kingdom. The public resents him, the media will destroy him, and his family will not answer his calls. He cannot build a life in America as a serious figure because he traded his respect for cheap shock value.
This all kind of culminates in this failure, and Harry is just like, okay, I'm seeing it now a bit more. This was all a lie to get me over here so she could live out her Hollywood dream, but it's become a nightmare for the both of us, and now I want to go back home. But home is not really an option for him either, because he didn't just leave. He lit it on fire as he left. And it's impossible to pick up those ashes fully. He will never be who he was before he left, and he has his wife to blame for that.
Totally. Well, he does. I mean, he does, but I also think he has himself to blame too.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Himself to blame.
Because there was a lot of, I mean, look, I 100% agree with you, Brittany. 100% agree with you. And you could say that right up until Spare. But Spare was his name.
He has no real skills outside of the military and royal duties, both of which he can no longer access. Reconciliation? Forget about it. King Charles is 76 and focused on his health and legacy. William will eventually ascend the throne, and William does not forgive betrayal. The door isn't just locked, the key has been melted down. Harry's ultimate legacy will be recorded in history books as a cautionary tale. The prince who had everything understood the value of nothing and threw it all away for an illusion. It's easy to look at this story as rich and famous soap opera drama, but if you look closer, this whole disaster holds a brutal, universal lesson for every single one of us. King Charles learned a truth at 76 years old that many people go their whole lives trying to avoid. You can love someone with all your heart, but if they are intent on destroying everything you've built, you have to let them go. Boundaries aren't built out of hatred, they are built out of self-preservation. Charles gave Harry 40 years of second chances. He protected him through teenage scandals, military stumbles, and public blunders. But there comes a point where patience stops being love and starts being stupidity.
And there was a hell of a lot of damaging stuff on Oprah and Netflix. And to be honest, I think it was done at that point. But like, I think Spare was like the final million nails in the coffin, if you get what I mean. When you think that was all of the accusations against Catherine, Camilla being dangerous, the so-called fight with William. But look, I do fundamentally agree with you. It was obviously all started by Meghan, and I think by the time Spare came around, it was too late, actually. But right. Boshoff goes on to report, it is a short hop from that reality to Harry and his family staying in a royal palace when he is next in the UK. And this is where I just think, Charles, what are you doing, man? And if that protocol is established, which Harry apparently feels sure can happen next time, then he looks as half in and half out. Precisely what the late Queen barred the couple from doing. What we do know is that Harry will be back in September for another charity event. There is an expectation that there will be another meeting with the King, and that he will accept an offer to stay at Buckingham Palace in good time this time.
Loyalty is the bedrock of any relationship, whether you're a royal or a regular worker trying to provide for your family. Once you break trust, once you sell out the people who covered for you, you don't get to ask for mercy when the bill comes due. Harry thought his bloodline made him untouchable. He thought his title gave him immunity. He learned the hardest way possible that no amount of privilege, money, or fame can save you from the permanent consequences of your own arrogant choices. Look around your own life. Are there loyalties you are taking for granted? Are there bridges you are burning because you assume they'll always be there to cross back over? Take a hard look. Because if a king can cut off his own son on live global television, don't think for a second that the world won't leave you behind if you make the exact same mistakes. The story of the rogue prince is over, but the story of the next king is just beginning. If you want to understand how Prince William quietly maneuvered behind the scenes to secure his spot as the undisputed future of the monarchy, click the video appearing on your screen right now. We break down the secret strategy William used to outplay his brother at every single step. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with your thoughts below. Did Charles do the right thing, or did he go too far? And I'll see you in the next breakdown.